I am beyond excited to talk about this next movie with our good friend Brent Stevens from Hollins University. Tenet, the Christopher Nolan masterpiece, is out in theaters now. Brent, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. You're already calling it a masterpiece. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I know I'm not the movie expert here. I do very much enjoy Christopher Nolan movies. This one's good. Have you had a chance to see it, or have you heard anything about it yet?
I haven't. I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan, so you're gonna have to take the lead on the actual movie itself, and I'll try to backfill with what I know about Nolan.
What is it about Christopher Nolan that just sets him apart?
So he's a rare combination of two things. One, they let him have these huge, big budgets, like a James Bond movie or a Star Wars, something along those lines. But he's really almost a kind of an art house auteur. If he weren't a filmmaker, he would be like a postmodern novelist because he loves playing with time and levels of narrative, stuff you usually don't see in a mainstream movie.
Before we go too deep into Tenet, tell folks really what it's about.
On its base level, and you've seen it, you should tell it more, but it's almost kind of like the Matrix, right? It's this person that sort of enters a world that he didn't see before and becomes part of a world war basically. And then the trick is this ability time inversion. You've seen it. Can you explain that for folks?
So more or less, like you said, the whole plot is to stop World War III. There's an impending World War III. There's the classic madman who wants the world to burn, much like the Joker and somebody like that. And it falls on our protagonist is ironically the name of the character. He has to go in between different times, both forward and backwards, to try and prevent the inevitable end of the world. In my best non-movie expert explanation I can give.
No. You're everyone's an expert. I'm just here to try to bring something to the table. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting that he doesn't have a name. He's just called the protagonist. And that's a long running trope in, again, postmodern fiction, things like that, because it's part of that. Christopher Nolan is always obsessed with identity in addition to kind of time and levels of reality. So the fact that he doesn't give this character a name is really interesting to me.
Let's talk about the cast, because like I said, it's Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, and also I think this is the first chance for audiences and a wide range of audiences to see Robert Pattinson, the Batman, now in a more serious role. And I got to say, I was skeptical at first. I think that he's going to crush Batman because he crushed this role as Neil in Tenet.
Yeah, John David Washington came to the fore through Spike Lee's Black Klansman, and that was kind of full circle because he has a bit part in Malcolm X, like way back in the early '90s. And then you're right. I think Robert Pattinson's going to be a great Batman. People have often been dismissive of him because of the Twilight films, but he's kind of gotten some real acting chops in some offbeat art house cinema movies in the last few years, and I think he's going to be amazing. And then the other person here is Elizabeth Debicki, who plays the lead, the kind of the romantic lead in here, and she's going to be Princess Diana in The Crown in a few years. When we get a new season. I don't even think they've started filming it.
She did a top shelf job too. I mean, it just all around, because that's what you expect from a Christopher Nolan style movie. You're getting somebody like Christian Bale in Batman, Leonardo DiCaprio in Inception, Matthew McConaughey in an Interstellar. I mean, these are all Academy Award winning, Academy Award Best Actor, Best Actress level talent, and again, they knocked one out of the park.
Yeah, I think Debicki, there's always a line in a lot of these movies that kind of explain what the movie's about. Like the Joker, you mentioned it, about some people like to watch the world burn, Mr. Bruce, that kind of thing. Here, I think it might be Debicki's line. She says, "Don't try to understand it, feel it." And, people endlessly, and it's fun to do, debate over how what Nolan's movies finally mean. But really, I think they're designed to enjoy the ride, but also, too, they've got that kind of ability to generate great conversations around, over a beer with friends. And again, that's what makes them so rare. It's a popcorn movie that you can have really fun discussions about.
Yeah, and I do got to say, I'm going to air out, and honey, I'm sorry. My girlfriend fell asleep right at the climax of this movie. But I talked to her after. I'm like, how could you do that? Because I guess, I didn't fully prep her into saying, look, you have to be focused. You do not look at the phone. Yeah, pop the popcorn at the beginning, but once we get into this thing, if you blink or you walk away for a second, you are lost.
Yeah, and he doesn't rely on a lot of like sort of editing. It's really interesting because his topics are so sort of deep and surreal. But he's not a person that does a lot of camera tricks. It's really in service to the action and to the plot. And one of the things I love about him, and again, he may have picked this up from the new Star Wars films, is he loves to use actual objects in his work. So if you are looking at Interstellar, you're looking at a real model of a spaceship that he built versus a digital rendition. Those scenes where in Tenet that you see in the trailer that you saw where Washington's characters flipping around the walls and stuff, they actually took that with a long tube and moved it around. Where they could have just digitally manipulated that.
Well, and like Inception, when Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, remember when they had that scene when the world is flipping all around, when they're fighting that hotel hallway right outside the elevators. I feel like the same kind of situation, and it is like it fully immerses you. I didn't feel for a minute of the 2.5 hours or so that I was like, oh, okay, this is ridiculous. I mean, and it's kind of ridiculous things like going back and forth in time, but it felt real.
Well, and it's a lot more money and a lot more effort to do it that way, but I think it pays off because we're so used to in the last decade or so of directors relying on CGI, right, digital effects. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of that here too. But at the heart of his filmmaking is old school building sets, and actually seeing real objects move and interact with characters.
This one's definitely going to get some buzz. Actor, actress, supporting roles, directing, and best picture. I mean, just from top to bottom, unbelievable movie.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm a huge Nolan fan, and definitely, I think you're right about the award season being very, very kind once again to Christopher Nolan.
Mm-hmm. And it is so it multiplexes, and I'm sure at some point, for folks that aren't going to the movies yet, don't feel comfortable yet getting out there. Hopefully, this will be on digital release here soon.
Yeah, more than likely, we won't get that normal 90-day window. It'll probably be much shorter.
Well, Brent, it's good to see you as always, and it's good to talk about like a new movie for once.
Yeah, absolutely, Logan. My only regrets we're not doing this live with a beer.
Well, don't worry. Christopher Nolan movies, we can watch it 30 more times and have 30 more beers down the road.
Sounds good.